Hello, and welcome to our community of Emmaus Haarzuilens. My name is Odilia, and this is Jeroen. For the next 20 minutes, we're going to take you on a journey back in time to discover our history, and then we'll find out the latest news of the Emmaus movement. So buckle up as off we go!
"50 years ago exactly, the Emmaus groups gathered in Montreal, Canada to hold the Second World Assembly for the Emmaus movement from the 2nd until the 4th of July 1971.
That means that today is the eve of the date of this event, which led to the creation of Emmaus International as an organization, 2 years after the groups met in Bern to adopt the Universal Manifesto, the founding act of our movement.
But why Canada, you might ask? And what were the key decisions made at this assembly? As a picture is worth 1,000 words, let's take a look at some now that are sure to answer all your questions.
In May 1969, the first international gathering of the Emmaus groups was held in Bern, Switzerland. The Universal Manifesto, the cornerstone of Emmaus International, was adopted. Following this event, a provisional committee, chaired by Marcel Farine from Emmaus, Switzerland, was tasked with preparing draft statutes for Emmaus International and organising a General Assembly. Gaetan Raymond, a lawyer and member of Emmaus Canada, was the committee's secretary. In this capacity, he actively participated in the drafting of the statutes. The Provisional Committee wanted to hold the General Assembly in a working community to experience this event together with the Emmaus companions. Robert Laporte, manager of the Emmaus Montreal community, offered to host this first General Assembly. Emmaus was very present at the time in Canada, a country that Abbé Pierre had visited on at least 4 occasions between 1955 and 1963. During his trip in 1955, Abbé Pierre met important figures such as Jean Drapeau, who was the mayor of Montreal for almost 30 years. He also gave several talks in Quebec, during which he challenged the local clergy and spoke about the objectives and struggles of the Emmaus movement.
Jamais dans les temps modernes, l'argent n'a manqué si la guerre éclate. Jamais la puissance matérielle n'a manqué. Et il n'y a pas de problèmes commerciaux et économiques. On envoie la marchandise à coups de bombes et d'obus sans facture, sans demande de paiement sur la tête de l'adversaire d'en face. Pourquoi est-ce que quand la paix est revenue, on vient nous déclarer qu'il y a des impossibilités techniques, financières, industrielles pour réaliser le salut de l'homme? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Ce n'est pas vrai!
Despite opposition from some of the clergy, Emmaus's work began in Canada with the support of the Montreal Archdiocese. It was in this city that the constitutive General Assembly of Emmaus International was convened from the 2nd to the 4th of July 1971. 120 Emmaus groups from 20 countries were represented at this event, which saw the adoption of the first statutes of Emmaus International. The Assembly decided to organise into regions, following the example of the Americas region, which had already officially been set up in 1970. Another important decision was the creation of an Emmaus International Cooperation Fund to support groups and respond to needs in developing countries. This was the beginning of the Emmaus International adventure.
Emmaus International will publish a series of posts on social networks from tomorrow until the 4th of July to commemorate this first World Assembly. Please share these with all your friends on your social media.
This year, we are also celebrating another important anniversary, the 51st anniversary of the creation of the Americas region, which was the first of the Emmaus International regions to be formed.
This means that for more than 50 years, we've been an international movement, sharing struggles, successes, but also being there for each other during the hard times. With the COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing crisis, we've seen how important it is to be part of a family, able to rally, support each other and show solidarity in times of need.
By the way, for both of us here, being part of an international movement means that we have friends all over the world. What about you? This video might give you some ideas.
Thank you for sharing your ideas. It shows us just how vibrant our movement is.
With that in mind, our elected representatives have worked hard to make it possible for us to experience our international dimension to the full over the coming months. Let's hear more from our chair Patrick Atohun and our two vice chairs Juan Melquiades and Moon Sharma.
Hello to everyone, and thank you for being with us. As you know, the global health crisis that began at the end of 2019 has disrupted everything that was planned at the political level, the economic level, and even at the level of institutions and our associations. This crisis has had repercussions in terms of how we work, and this is why our General Assembly, which was scheduled to take place in Uruguay in 2020, had to be postponed. We hoped that the situation would get better, but given the fact that this crisis is ongoing, we have once again pushed back our deadlines. Yet, as you know, for us at Emmaus International, what matters is the democratic life of the movement. We need to speak out. The groups at grassroots level need to tell us what they want and how to shape the strategic guidelines for the next few years. This is why the Emmaus International Board has decided to organise two events. A virtual World Assembly from the 30th of November to the 2nd of December 2021, where we will discuss some statutory matters as well as renewing our decision-making bodies. And a face-to-face World Assembly in Uruguay during the first half of 2022. During this second meeting, all the current issues will be discussed, and we will be able to capitalise on this input from the different groups to develop the strategic guidelines for the next 4 years. For this reason, dear friends, we believe it is the time to rally, to ensure many of us participate in the virtual event, and especially in the face-to-face World Assembly, which will take place in 2022 in Uruguay, so that we can discuss the various current issues and establish the course we want to take in the coming years. Let's all get on board for these upcoming events.
Hello, namaste. As we all know, that our movement have had 3 struggles, and they were adopted as the main guidelines in the World Assembly in 2016 in Jaslo. And all the Emmaus groups worldwide are implementing these actions since last 4 years. They're based on these 3 struggles, and as we know, they are an ethical and social economy to have access to our fundamental rights, social and environmental justice for a sustainable world, peace and freedom of movement and settlement. It was also decided during this assembly in 2016 that we should work on a global report. And later, we had World Forum of Alternatives in Geneva in 2018, and it was acknowledged that it's very important that we need a global report. So hence the work on this report began in March 2018. No, it was in 2019, if I remember well. And during the board meetings held in May and November 2018, the alternatives were chosen, where the board members validated the detailed architecture of the document, its layout and illustrations of the ground alternatives carried out by the groups. Since then, Emmaus International had been working on this report on Emmaus alternatives to combat the causes of poverty. The report actually also put forward the demands and claims from our presence in diverse context where poverty and injustice have existed for the last 70 years all over the world. But unfortunately, due to global pandemic, the work on the report got delayed. But the good fact is that we are working again, and it is in the progress. And we hope to launch it on 17th of October on 2021 this year, on the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty.
Buenos días a todos y todas.
Good morning to you all, my dear friends. For over 70 years we have been working. We have a history and a legacy built on the work of our residential communities, our working communities and our struggles. We're trying to gather all of our heritage, all of our practices to compile these in the form of the first global report on the fight against the causes of poverty, which we will officially release in October to mark the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. This is why we're trying to motivate all groups and public opinion to get behind this work, to reflect on and combat the causes of poverty around the world. To this end, dear friends, we, the Emmaus communities, are a real and concrete alternative in the face of a system that exploits. In the face of a system that promotes selfishness, we offer solidarity. We propose placing value on life, respecting the environment and everything that we create. Therefore, we encourage all of our fellow members to gather all of this experience and to sit down together over a coffee to reflect on this and to try to bring it to the public eye, to influence public opinion. Our daily lives, our struggles, our solidarity have to be communicated. They must be shared. And we encourage you to do so. Soon we will be at our World Assembly, where we will be able to share the wealth of our diversity, our activities, reiterating once again that our struggles, my dear friends, are local, global, and vital. Let us continue our good work and our fruitful discussions.
Thank you to all three of you for this message. Indeed, we have several important events to look forward to together over the next few months, and everyone has to be involved.
Let's start with the release of our global report and the communication campaign, which our elected members have just mentioned.
The global report will be sent to you by September at the latest. It presents 12 specific experiences from Emmaus groups around the world.
These experiences have made it possible to identify 6 demands which reflect 3 fundamental requirements. Involve vulnerable people for them to assume their rightful place in society. Place the public interest at the heart of public policies. And construct an economy that genuinely works for human beings and their environment.
Under the slogan, "Our struggles are local, global, vital," a communication campaign will be launched to mark the release of the report on the 17th of October, the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty.
All the groups will be invited to participate in preparing this communication campaign and be involved in putting it into action. So keep your eyes peeled for information from Emmaus International over the next few weeks.
Campaigning is an essential part of our work, because beyond the urgency of alleviating suffering, we are working to eradicate its causes.
Talking of which, let's listen to a very short extract from a speech by Abbé Pierre in which he explains the Emmaus method.
Puisque l'essentiel de notre méthode, c'est d'être le prophète, c'est-à-dire le type qui engage le craint. C'est cette action para-étatique, para-parlementaire, para-administrative, que j'appelle l'action prophétique, voyez-vous, et je crois qu'elle est absolument essentielle à notre méthode d'Emmaüs. Ce harcèlement de ceux qui sont à la place des hommes sans voix, parce qu'ils se sont placés à la source. C'est dans l'humanité souffrante, bafouée, profanée, critiquée, piétinée, c'est là où l'humanité est bafouée, que quand des volontaires vont prophétiquement se mettre au milieu d'elle, ils deviennent la prise de courant qui va permettre de faire circuler le courant. Et qui va remettre en marche toute la mécanique jusqu'au sommet des États et des Nations Unies et de tout ce qu'on veut. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a un certain nombre d'emmerdeurs qui, vivant dedans, là où on crève de faim, deviendront la voix des hommes sans voix et harcèleront de tous les cartons du monde qui sont gouvernants au pouvoir parlementaire ou à aux fonctionnaires ou aux Nations Unies en leur disant il y a le feu à la maison. Et en le disant dans l'opinion publique, afin que ça prenne la puissance colossale d'explosion qui déterminera les gouvernants. Car en fait, notre technique d'Emmaüs consiste à mouvoir les gouvernants en faisant éclater notre pétard dans l'opinion publique. Comprenez? Si nous créons, même minuscules, mais si nous parsemons le monde de ces capsules, de ces pétards, à la base, et faisant des réalisations minimes, mais bouleversantes pour la conscience publique, eh bien, les hommes d'État, pas beaucoup, mais les hommes d'État seront ébranlés. Et ils ne peuvent être ébranlés que comme ça. Si on leur marche sur les pieds, ils bougeront. Si on se contente de leur parler à la figure, ils ne bougeront pas. Comprenez? Il faut les prendre à la base.
One thing is for sure, Abbé Pierre was not afraid of hard-hitting expressions and images that capture the imagination.
Yes, and he has left us an important responsibility that we must uphold. We must never stop fighting both poverty itself as well as its causes. Now, before we continue our review of upcoming international events, we would like to take the time to introduce you to our community here in Huishuizen. In the early 50s, Jan Wilken gave up his job to support Abbé Pierre's work in Paris. In 1956, the Stichting Emmaus Vrienden Nederland was established to support Abbé Pierre's work. With Abbé Pierre's help, the first Emmaus community in the Netherlands officially started December 1966. 1 year later, the old barn was rebuilt into a house to live in. 30 years later, in 1996, the old pig shed needed to be replaced, so we had a completely new house built to the standards of that time. We were able to finance this all by ourselves. Our community has got room for 14 people. Some just need a place to stay, some looking for an alternative way of living. We choose not to have one boss, instead we make decisions together. Our community makes almost €500,000 a year by selling second-hand goods. About a third of this money is being spent on projects. We are active member of the Dutch Federation of Emmaus and, of course, Emmaus International. We are in contact with many Emmaus groups all over the world. Because of the COVID situation, we weren't able to meet a lot of people. But we hope that times are getting better and we'll be able to meet all of you in person very soon.
Let's now turn to the World Assembly. Finally, a World Assembly. But did I hear that there are 2 events?
Absolutely. We'll have the chance to meet up twice, just a few months apart. Firstly, we'll have our virtual event, and then at the start of next year, we'll meet each other face to face.
Oh wow, I can't wait to be there to meet all of you. And I think our friends in Uruguay agree, as they have a message for us.
Before we hand over to them, to conclude this program, we wanted to thank you for watching and for taking part. We hope you have a good day or a good evening, depending on where you are. See you all very soon. And now it's over to our friends in Uruguay.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Cecilia Domínguez y soy integrante de Emmaus Grupo Aportes. Actualmente soy la delegada de Emmaus Uruguay y estamos muy entusiasmados porque vengan a nuestro país a celebrar la próxima Asamblea Mundial. De hecho, sería la primera vez que se realizaría aquí en América Latina. Es un momento complicado por el tema de la pandemia, pero los recibiremos con todos los protocolos sanitarios necesarios. Bienvenidos a Uruguay.
Mi nombre es Roberto Ribeiro y soy integrante del grupo Emmaus Maldonado y le damos la bienvenida a Uruguay.
Hola compañeros, mi nombre es Ariel Vallejo de Emmaus Maldonado y le damos la bienvenida a Uruguay.
Hola, soy Blanca Nieves de Comunidad de Trabajo Nuevo París y le damos la bienvenida a Uruguay.
Carlos Barrios de Comunidad de Trabajo Emmaus Nuevo París, le damos la bienvenida a Uruguay.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Luis Denis, soy integrante del grupo Aportes Emmaus y les doy la bienvenida al Uruguay.